kind words. And please allow me to invite Mr. Iqbal Bahar Chaudhry, a renowned journalist and former Chief of the Voice of America, Bangla service.
I'm not well, so excuse me for any problem that you have listening to me. Khaleda Zia was born in Jalpaiguri, Bengal Presidency, British India in 1946. She attended Dinajpur Government Girls High School and Surendranath College in Dinajpur, Bangladesh, before her marriage to Mr. Ziaur Rahman in 1960. She thinks, including her family, her children, and dependents, she was taking care of them. She was not in politics. She was with Zia as First Lady of Bangladesh, traveled to many countries as the First Lady, but she was not directly involved in politics. But her party members, BNP members, wanted her to be in politics. And though she did not like it, she refused in the beginning, but later on she joined politics and was in politics for a long time and became the first female Prime Minister of Bangladesh, like many others in the subcontinent, Indira Gandhi, Benazir Bhutto, and others. During her time in politics, in the beginning, she was not that active, but gradually she became active and became the leader of the party, BNP. And she had to fight against the government, ruling government, and also later on, she had to fight against the other rival party, Awami League. During her prime ministership, she traveled to different countries, including United States. She came to Washington and met President Bush, and that was, I think, in 1992. She also came to New York, attended the UN General Assembly session more than once, and had bilateral meetings with different leaders, including South Asian leaders and Western country leaders. And she was very impressive. She was very polite, never got excited, but she did work for her country and presented the problems of her country with other leaders, and they also supported her approach, and she got a lot of help at different points of time. In Bangladesh, there was big rivalry between BNP and Awami League that also affected her, and she was at one point she was arrested and she was in jail for 2 years. But she never gave up. She continued to fight for the cause for which she was fighting, people's cause.
Brief, and this segment we have to conclude by 7:45, if we can consider that. And I'm very much delighted, and it is my distinct privilege to announce the next speaker name is our 119th president of the National Press Club, Murshid. If you can say a few words as you are here today. Thank you.
Mark Shep Jr., the president-elect of the National Press Club. And I don't know the background of your former prime minister well enough to make confident remarks, but I will say this. I'm so happy that you've decided to choose the National Press Club as the location of a memorial service for someone who was a champion of democracy and who moved Bangladesh forward toward freedom and a society where there was open dialogue and freedom. That's what we support here at the National Press Club, and I'm sure that she was someone who did not try to rein in the media and was open to various points of view being expressed through media in a free way. And it's fitting that each of you is here to celebrate her life. And thank you for coming to the National Press Club.
President-elect Mark Schaff. Now I'd like to invite Steve Rose, Senior Fellow of the Stimson Center, if you would like to say a few words about Khaleda Zia.
Thank you. Among everyone in this room, I am probably the least qualified to be standing here, so I will be brief. I have followed Bangladesh for much of the last 10 years and traveled regularly to the country for the last 8. I did not have the privilege of meeting the Prime Minister, but through my former boss, Ambassador Bill Richardson, Governor Bill Richardson, I had the opportunity to hear about his engagements with her. And I understand that she ushered in great change as Prime Minister, obviously as the first female Prime Minister of Bangladesh, but also in the reforms that she enacted in education, in women's empowerment, in opening up the economy, and in fighting for democracy. I send my deepest condolences to her family, to her friends, to the people of Bangladesh, and we'll conclude just by saying that I think it's quite fitting that she ushered in such change as Prime Minister, that as she leaves this world, Bangladesh is also ushering in a new period of change. Thank you, and my condolences.
Right, Mr. Gulampur Murtoza, who is representing Bangladesh Embassy in Washington, Press Minister of the Bangladesh Embassy.
Honorable guest, Organizer Ambassador Mr. Fazul Ansari, greetings and salam. Respect and love for Begum Khaleda Zia. Begum Khaleda Zia not only a first female Prime Minister in Bangladesh. Begum Khaleda Zia is the most popular leader in Bangladeshi politics. Popular. I repeat, popular. Her popularity is the main reason for her persecution. The fascist Hasina wanted to kill Khaleda Zia by denying her medical treatment precisely because of her popularity. Begum Khaleda Zia dedicated her life to people. Allah is with those who have the love of the people. Allah protected Begum Khaleda Zia from Hasina's assassination plot. Allah gave her opportunity to witness the downfall of the fascist monster Hasina. Even without being physically present, Khaleda Zia lives in the heart of the people. The monster Hasina has failed and taken refuge in India, surviving on the mercy of others. A fair and accountable election will be held in Bangladesh on February 12th. I have no opinion on which party will win the election or who will form the government. However, let me conclude by sharing my thoughts on popularity of politicians. Who is the most popular politician in Bangladesh? My guess is that the future Bangladesh, the competition will be among three politicians. One, Ziaur Rahman. Number two, Begum Khaleda Zia. And number three, Tariq Rahman. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Ghulam Murtaza. Now I'd like to invite a good friend and trusted friend of Bangladesh who knows Begum Khaleda Zia, not personally, but in numerous occasions, who met Begum Khaleda Zia when she was leader of the opposition, and when she was leading the party, main opposition party, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. So who knows her very closely. So Ambassador Dan Mazina, it's your turn. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mushfiq. And greetings to everybody here. Chaudhry Saab, very nice to see you again. Madam Marsha, representative from the embassy. This is a good thing you're doing, Mushfiq, to bring us all together to recognize a leading figure in the history of Bangladesh. Khaleda Zia played an outsized role in that country. And speakers already have, and they will continue speaking about her legacy. And as we all know, many praise what she did, others maybe are criticized. But I intend to do neither one of those things. I want to speak about my relationship with Khaleda Zia personally, because I did in fact know her well personally. I lived in Bangladesh. I served in Bangladesh as a U.S. diplomat for 6 years. From 1998 to 2001, I was the chief of the political economic section. And from 2011, and some of you will remember, to 2014, I was America's ambassador to the wonderful people of Bangladesh. And during all of those 6 years, Khaleda Zia was the leader of the opposition. Begum Zia was always accessible to me, always accessible. And I would go, I would see her, she would receive me, and you knew she was in horrible pain. Arthritis and other ailments racked her body. But as others have observed, she never complained. Never complained. Why me? Why am I suffering like this? Never. She was gracious, warm, friendly, open, forthcoming. Of course, she had her talking points. And those talking points she would deliver forcefully. In the earliest years, often they would be in Bangla, or a mixture of English and Bangla that would be interpreted. In later years, and she was very proud of this, and rightly so, she and I engaged only in English, which she, on her own initiative, mastered well, as many of you in here know. So she delivered her talking points, she made her points, but she was never finished with that. At some point, she would rein in her side. because her sidekicks, her henchmen, though they were pounding in the talking points too, it happened the same every time. She cut the whole thing off. And then she'd come to me and she'd talk to me on a one-to-one personal level. And she would ask about me. Oh, how are you doing? How's your family? She knew about my family. And she was most eager to know what were my impressions of Bangladesh, which of course I had many and which I shared. These were wonderful human conversations. And that's how I think of her. I think of her, of that humanity coming out. So she would talk to me not as the leader of the opposition, but we engaged on a person-to-person level. Well, those were hectic times, to say the least. The then Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, always charged that I was a secret member of the BNP and actually a member of the Central Committee. But BNP people, not including Khaleda Zia, but all of her lieutenants, they always said I was a lackey of Hasina. That's what they called me, lackey of Hasina. Well, in fact, I was neither of those. I knew well the boundaries of an American diplomat, of an American ambassador, and I respected those boundaries. But within these boundaries, within these limitations, this woman right here, I love this photograph, by the way, because that's my image of Khaleda Zia. And this should be more pink, because she liked pink. But that's my image. She and I, within the boundaries that we both had to respect, we developed a real friendship, a personal friendship. And we manifested great respect for each other. I miss Khaleda Zia. And I convey to her family, to the good people of Bangladesh who turned out in unprecedented millions at her funeral, I convey to the people of Bangladesh, all the people of Bangladesh, my deepest condolences. I share your grief, I share your loss.
Thank you, Sadat and Mazina, for your wonderful speech. And now I would like to invite another good friend of Bangladesh, Ambassador Marsha Barnikat, and you had the opportunity to meet her in numerous occasions. And when she was in jail, you were very much sympathetic to her in privately or publicly. So I don't want to say, you will say. So over to you, Ambassador Marsha Barnikat.
Friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum, good evening. I am so pleased, Mushfiq, not only that you organized this evening, but that you invited me to be a part of it. But why do you ask me to speak after Dan Mozina? It's a horribly difficult act to follow, but for one special reason this time, Dan, I envy the relationship that you were able to develop with Khaleda Zia. I followed Dan as U.S. Ambassador to Bangladesh, and by the time I arrived, she was literally under siege in her offices. And my very first meeting with her was not the kind of diplomatic meeting you would expect to have, where I pay a courtesy call on a former prime minister and leader of the opposition. We organized a group of about 12 ambassadors, friends of Bangladesh all, to arrive under the cover of night to her offices to be able to meet with her and to find a way to negotiate both with her and then with the Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, on ending this siege, if you will. The siege ended, but I have to say, I don't know that it was because of our efforts as ambassadors. I got to meet Khaleda Zia, Begum Zia, numerous times after that, and I can reaffirm that even though she was clearly in greater pain and clearly in distress, she was always gracious and always welcoming, whether it was to her home, whether it was at a breakfast during Ramadan or any other occasion. Just wanted to end by saying there's a saying that goes something like, polite women don't make history. Begum Zia was quite polite, but she was incredibly tenacious. And I think of all of her qualities, the fact that she had leadership thrust on her, but she recognized her responsibility to her country, certainly to the legacy of her husband, but especially to the people of Bangladesh, and she never, ever failed the people of Bangladesh. I will say that as a young woman studying in college, the War of Independence for Bangladesh was one of the first international events that caught my imagination and fueled my interest in international relations. And later, to see not one, but two women rise to political prominence. And whatever we can say about the relationship or lack thereof between those two women, I don't think there's any other country in the world whose history and politics and economy and education and health were shaped more by women than the country of Bangladesh. So of all the many reasons that I love Bangladesh, I know that Begum Zia's contributions to that very unique legacy are part of what makes the country what it is today. But like young girls in Bangladesh, any young professional woman growing her career in the 80s and 90s, as I was, could look to Bangladesh and see what women could achieve when they had the faith of their populations. So I too want to add my condolences to Begum Zia's family, to the people of Bangladesh, to us all really, and that of all of what she suffered, of all of what she accomplished, her legacy will be a permanent part of Bangladesh and the world. Thank you.
Shabarnikat, for your kind words. And we are, before moving to our final speaker, I would like to mention a few names who kindly participated and joined our today's event. And to make it, some friend of my friends helped me to make it happen. And from the last, I can see Mr. Ajit Shahi, the veteran journalist who worked for the Indian Express and many Indian outlets and working for the Indian American Muslim Council. My good colleague here is Sarita Pandey is here, and I'm very much grateful Vincent Nai, the Asia editor of NPR, and he's here, and Shamima Khan from the World Bank, and the Mr. Mahfouz, Shamim Bhai, and few friends all the way. They're coming from New York to participate in this event, particularly my good friend, the journalist Dr. Konak Sarwar, Farid Alam, Ahad, Abdur Rahim, and Navajug editor Shagar, and our sister Kona, Zahid Khan, who helped me a lot, Mr. Salim, Zaki Chudhi, Arif, Kazal, Majnu, Arif, Kavita Dalwar, Mr. and Mrs. Dalwar. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Mr. Islam, you helped me a lot. And our final speaker, and I know it's a very, you have everyone has a memory and you want to say, but we want to limit this program and we have to go for our dinner event. So this program is 7:45. It's our set time, and we were a little bit delayed to opening this event. So one of my mentors here, Mr. Maron Belkind, who was in very critical time, he was in the region. He was in India when Mrs. Gandhi imposed emergency, and he was the editor of the AP Associated Press and our former president of the National Press Club. Please, sir, over to you, Mr. Maron Belkind.
Distinguished guests, my thoughts go back to that era. I was posted in New Delhi with responsibilities throughout South Asia from 1966 to 77. And I will never forget that period primarily because of what Mrs. Gandhi did with her state of the emergency, and then what happened in 1971 with the birth of Bangladesh. I still remember the stories that came out of America where the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, said that Bangladesh would be an international breadbasket. Henry Kissinger would not like to be told that he was wrong, may he rest in peace, but he was wrong. He was wrong. Bangladesh has become, in many ways, an economic powerhouse. And that is the greatest tribute to the country itself. Bangladesh also is a trailblazer in another area. As you know, this year marks the 250th anniversary of the United States independence. Well, I think you know where I might be going. We still haven't had a woman leader. But Bangladesh, in its infancy, in its 20th year of independence, shows its first woman prime minister, Begum Khaleda Zia. It is remarkable, as someone who spent 42 years of his life abroad as a foreign correspondent, to see the achievements of so many other countries that even surpass the achievements of the United States of America. I still remember going from my base in New Delhi in the early days of the Liberation War to stand on the border in Bengal with the border of Bengal and what was then East Pakistan, and see the thousands and thousands of refugees come across the border to seek sanctuary in India at the time. And then how it was to report less than a year later how those refugees returned to rebuild their homeland. I am just honored to be here. I was just an education to hear so many of the speakers who have their life intertwined with Bangladesh. But I also would like this to finish on a note to say, as a past president of the National Press Club, Mark Sheff, my friend, is going to be the 119th. I was the 107th president in 2014. And I don't recall, Mark, from my memory and yours, if we've ever had a press club member go on to become an excellency, an ambassador. And so I'm so pleased that Mr. Faisal Ansari had to leave the press club, but he's still a member, to leave to become the ambassador to Mexico and several other countries concurrently in that region. And on behalf of all of us, Your Excellency, thank you for organizing this very touching and appropriate event in memory of Begum Khaleda Zia. Dhanyavad.
And Ambassador Dan was telling about the photos. I have to acknowledge this photo is taken by one of our great photojournalists who who was the Time Magazine Person of the Year 2018, Shahidul Alam. So it's captured by Shahidul Alam. And so thank you again, and Khaleda Zia, her legacy, her fight for democracy, and her as she built our economy, one of the great architect of our economic progress. She will be always in our heart, and she will remain alive in our history. So thank you so much for joining this evening, and thank you all of my friends in this room. And lately I forgot to mention few of the names. It is Bangladeshi culture, you have to mention some names. So otherwise maybe people say, oh, you forgot, So Mr. Mokader, Fazle Noshad, Zakir Choudhury, and Zahir Salim, and Zakir Choudhury, Ariful Islam, and thank you so much. And my good friend, who you know him, he used to work for the Bangladesh Embassy in Dhaka, Shahanul, and Andrew Viraj, very good photographer. Yeah. So, and Mr. Jakir, another Jakir is here, is one of the IT expert. So thank you very much, and please allow me to